Let us have a look at the starting grid. Fuso starting grid sees Jamie Whincup on a roll today with his qualifying performances. Team Vodafone pole position from Mark Winterbottom, and then Will Davison out of 3. Lee Holdsworth will be out of position 4. We're talking a lot about where Russell Ingall should have been. He's not anywhere at the pointy end now. He's at the other end. So it's Holdsworth, Bright, Reynolds, Tim Slade, Fabian Coulthard, who's been doing a great job today. Michael Patrizzi, car number 91, is out of position 9. His teammate Jonathan Webb is 10th.
Yeah, so both those Techno Autosports Commodores inside the top 10. West Australian Dean Fiore starting from position 11. He'll have the gears next to him. There's Craig Lowndes, position 14. He motored through the field yesterday to finish on the podium. He has 13 race wins at this circuit. Look out for Lowndes, Courtney and Alex Premer. It's been a real struggle for James Courtney. He was another one who managed to push through the field. So there is Russell Ingall starting from position 19. That's where he qualified for race 8. The drama that we've been telling you about is for the next race this afternoon, where he qualified 5th and has been pushed to the rear of the grid. Greg Murphy, the Pepsi Max crew, he's just been fighting so hard this weekend to try and get a result, and it's not coming his way. And Carl Reindler, the 30 Sheds Racing entry from position 28. Of course, Carl involved in that big fireball last year. He took Dr. Fiona Wood for a hot lap the other day, the leading burn specialist in the country, probably if not the world, and it was a great payback, I reckon, for Carl to be able to do that for Dr. Wood. So there's Russell. He is fuming.
Yeah, and so much of this race, Matty, though, is going to be about Will Davison on soft tyres on the second row. There is the only one out there doing it. I've had a chat to the team. Obviously, they want to split their strategy, but I think it's a good one. And based on the whiteboard that you've just seen in that tyre degradation, gee whiz, if we got a safety car on lap 10 or 11, or somewhere around there, and he forced the whole rest of the field to run for the rest of the race on soft tyres, he's in a great position. Crompo, lean over, grab Scrafey's wallet, throw it out there, mate. They'll put litter everywhere, about lap 10.
Thanks, Mark Larkham in the pit lane for us today. On soft tyres, Will Davison, Russell Ingall, Greg Murphy and Carl Reindler.
Green flag, green flag.
Here we go. Sunny skies. Great conditions for 120 Ks. First of 2 races this afternoon. It's Whincup against Winterbottom. In the charge down to turn 1, Tim Slade went looking towards the inside of the track. Whincup holds fire and leads them through.
Very nice teamwork there. Will Davison allowed Mark Winterbottom to get back to the inside of the road. It's very dangerous trying to drive around the outside at turn 1. And a very even start between Whincup and Winterbottom. Whincup's performance in qualifying to be on the right-hand side got him into turn 1 on the inside and into the lead of this race.
Well, here goes Davison down the inside of his teammate at 6. Did that nicely. Remember that Will's on the soft tyre, so he's got a lot more grip available.
Up over the rise. So Davison, the first car on the soft tyres. Expect him to be super quick. Here's Van Gisbergen having a look on the inside of Michael Patrizzi at turn 7. Patrizzi pushed over onto the curb, and the gears go side by side with him to hold that position and get it at turn 1. Not without some panel rubbing.
So watch the diminishing gap now between Davison and Whincup. Huge difference in the tyre behaviour. Van Gisbergen 9th here in this little elbow game that's going on down the order. These guys are trying to establish position in the top 10. But look at the way that Davison will come at the race leader at the moment. He's got to try and make these soft tyres work for him right now, because if he gets trapped behind Jamie for too long, the edge and the benefit that he gets from the soft tyres will diminish.
Driving, excellent driving.
1 and 2 in the championship, 1 and 2 on the road.
Now, I just heard race director Tim Schenken say that false start for David Reynolds, car 55. He'll get held for 10 seconds at his pit stop. Now Will is right under the rear wing of his old mate Jamie Whincup. Lowndes made his move, and he made it stick down the inside at 1 then. Look at this. So they've been informed now at Botlow Racing. That's James Small on screen, the engineer for Dave Reynolds. He's informed Dave what's going on. Watch for Will down the inside at 6. They're at 5 now. He'll get a better exit. He'll move to the right. Does Jamie put up a fight? Well, he let him go. He knows he's on softs. He's been reminded by Mark Dutton there wasn't enough space there.
He was very deep under brakes, Whincup, wasn't he? He didn't decide to cover, he didn't block, but he just fired down there amazingly deep. And this looks like the move now.
He's covering, but it's a little bit half-hearted now. He leaves space. He knows that he's a shot duck. Tries for the crisscross, but fundamentally at the moment, Will's got piles of extra speed.
Great work, mate. Eyes forward.
So first change for the lead. The soft tyre strikes.
Ooh. James Moffat is travelling to the inside of the road there in a big battle.
Rick Kelly. James Courtney behind him, and now Moffat gets a little nudge along as the Jack Daniels car pulls up alongside him.
So they obviously started that on the exit of turn 7, and the guard's now rubbing on the Jack Daniels car for Rick Kelly at turn 4. Courtney and Tander in there as well. These guys are in a battle for 14, 15, 16, 17. Tander's 17th.
It's pretty lively, isn't it?
A couple of cars behind them. Greg Murphy's on soft tyres, so he'll be watching for all this mess. There's a little bit of damage to the front left-hand side of Rick Kelly's car that he gave a nudge along to James Moffat. Alex Premer, rear of the field.
Now, he was battling with Garth Tander. They were trying to get through the S's together. And there's a lot of damage on the left-hand front there as the wheel compresses up into the guard. You can see that smoke coming off the left-hand front of Rick Kelly's. That's Garth Tander down the inside of him now. James Courtney just in front, same with Murphy. He's going to try to follow down the inside on his teammate.
It's quite a chunk out of Rick's front left mudguard. The front part of the wheel arch is a real mess, so it's what's rubbing on that tyre at the moment. Tony D'Alberto's eyeing him up for a move.
And Murph will want to get out of that mess. He's in there on soft tyres. Needs to get clear of all those cars hassling each other so he can make the most out of those grippy Dunlops. On the inside of Lowndes comes Russell Ingall. Speaking of soft tyres, Michael Patrizzi's next target.
4 out of the 28 are on the softs.
On board now with Ingall. As we said, on the soft tyre, right up behind the final corner, right up behind Patrizzi. A nice throttle modulation there. You can hear him exiting turn 7, and very easy to burst into wheel spin there, and he gets a last-minute dive pass. Very, very good braking and nice modulation to get the car up the inside and gets that move made for 10th position.
It was Rick Kelly that you saw in the background of that shot before too, coming off turn 7, was right out on the old pit lane entry apron. So he's suffering at the moment, drops back now to 19th position, just in front of his brother Todd.
There's 3rd and 4th position. Lee Holdsworth in 4th. Jason Bright's behind him. Fabian Coulthard is in 6th. So what about the difference in the times at the front? Will Davison on softs is about to complete his lap and has posted a 57.5 as Rick goes off.
Said he got a push.
Jamie Whincup's done a 57.8. So a couple of tenths of a second the difference between the soft and hard tyre right now at the front. Tony D'Alberto on the inside. This is when Rick went really wide and almost went into the old pit lane.
His brother's thinking, oh, Rick. So that's how that happened. Exactly. He sort of looked like he did it himself a bit, didn't he? Looked like he ran in there a little bit deep up the inside of D'Alberto.
So on those numbers that you just mentioned a moment ago, Matt, that's not enough. It's not a big margin. We saw this yesterday. So he's losing ground here.
Look at the rubber flying off at the top of the hill there. The big chunks.
The big movers and shakers. Russell Ingall up 9 positions. Van Gisbergen up 3 positions.
And another.
And another.
That's for 8th.
So 3/10 of a second was the advantage for Will on the softs over Jamie on the hard last lap around. Now Gisbergen looking strong.
The guys that start on them, we saw this yesterday, for some reason seem to get more degradation earlier than those that drop the soft tyre on later in the race. And we think that just the way the track rubbers up as the race unfolds. Interesting also that we've been talking about the prospects of unstable weather at the moment. It's quite pleasant out there. There's a bit of sunshine around, and I think we'll safely get through this one without any problems with the weather. So they're not going to get a break. They're going to have to make both sets of tyres work here.
It's Dave Stewart, the engineer for Shane Van Gisbergen.
And on data to his left is Nick Stone. And remember yesterday the mystery misfire in that SP Tools car for Shane Van Gisbergen. 8th at the moment, there he is. He was in a pretty strong position until it coughed at turn 7. He dropped about 3 or 4 spots. And they couldn't see any errors on the computer when they plugged it in last night. Had them scratching their heads wondering what the problem was. So the margin at the moment, 2.2 seconds. Will Davison over Jamie Whincup.
Excellent, mate. Pace is excellent. Keep it up. Mate, I can see him. I can see him, mate. Mate. You think Miss Murphy through, mate?
Welcome back. Here's a lively battle. Michael Patrizzi, Greg Murphy and Craig Lowndes. Look at this. Murph's on soft tyres, so this is for position 11. So Murph's motoring through and will get the job done on the soft tyres. But Patrizzi, the local boy, is holding off the all-time race winner here, Lowndes.
Good job, mate. You're pushing. Good job.
Not only holding him off, Lowndes got past him and then Patrizzi got the spot back. Michael Caruso, 18th spot, make that 17th. There's Carl Reindler just behind the Team Norton entry of James Moffat. Now, Carl started from position 28 on the soft tyres. He's now up to 19th. So the 4 drivers on soft tyres are our race leader, Will Davison. Russell Ingall now in 10th. Behind him, this man, Greg Murphy, and Reindler in 19th.
Just trying to work out whether Greg Murphy's back to his normal left foot braking or not, because with a back injury...
Captain Eagle with 4 seconds. You are faster. Keep up the good work.
With a back injury that Greg has sustained and the operation that he had in the recuperation, he basically couldn't brake with the sort of force required with his left foot. There's Lowndes back up the inside of Patrizzi. It's been a battle going on for the last 5 laps.
Advantage Lowndes.
And now Greg had to go back to a right foot braking method, and his normal left foot braking is his normal style.
Dean Fiore's taken advantage of that situation at the last corner as well, so he's moved up for Western Australian honour there. Car number 12.
Yeah, Scapey just put a full stop on that. No, Murphy's still using his right foot. Hasn't gone back to his left foot yet.
Thanks, Larko. So that's actually quite a big... It might sound like it's not a big issue, but when you've basically all through his career used his left foot as a left foot braker, and to go back to a place like this where the brake modulation is really important. Probably this is one of the most brake-sensitive racetracks in Australia. And we're in front of Carl Reindler now. This is a pretty healthy battle with James Moffat.
Well, Reindler's having a look. He's on the soft tyre. He's looking every which way he can to get a gap to take a dive at James Moffat. And now suddenly Todd Kelly arrives on the scene on the inside and shuts that gap again. So he's being boxed around the ears, Carl Reindler, and he can't use the tyres that he's got.
He's about to get another position taken from him, because just in behind Todd is Jonathan Webb, and we just saw a little glimpse of his white Commodore, and you've just seen how he didn't quite get it done.
Oh, Steve Owen. That's down at turn 1, and he's come out the other side of the sand there, fortunately.
From where we're standing. Could be a flat left front.
So you have to be very careful. The problem with the left front here. Here's the replay of what happened. He's probably locked up and gone in there. Whether he was assisted, we don't know yet, but he picked the throttle up and got out the other side. Mark made mention of that yesterday, that if you gas it up, you can actually get out of it rather than bury it. And he's going to have a very slow lap on the way back.
So the interesting thing here, boys, isn't if you project forward into the race, I mean, already we're not seeing this great soft tyre gain that we expected. So the question is, later in the race, when Jamie Whincup puts soft tyres on, how's his car going to perform against Will Davidson's? And if you go to qualifying form on that soft tyre, gee whiz, it's going to be a good battle at the end.
We were just observing a moment ago in here that Whincup has been a little bit faster on the hard tyre than Winterbottom's been on the hard tyre, and Winterbottom was the star performer on hards yesterday. As we go into the pit lane here, look at Carl Reindler down in 26th at the moment. So whether that translates tyre for tyre, we're about to see.
So 14 laps on the softer compound. Here comes Steve Owen with a dodgy looking front left. Just making into that pit bay. There's a bit of degradation.
More than degradation, isn't it?
So leading this charge that we're looking at, Tony D'Alberto, position 18, back to Moffat, who's been in a pretty good battle and holding off a few contenders, swinging punches his way. Todd Kelly now is behind him, and as Scafie mentioned, Jonathan Webb in the Tour de Cure Commodore.
These guys find themselves almost 30 seconds behind the race leader. This is what happens when you get bundled up in the traffic. Your first couple of laps are much slower than the leaders, and then you just spend so much time battling all those around you. You lose touch with the race pace. We're only on lap 17 of 50, and already they're a long way behind. Todd Kelly now down the inside at 6.
Good pass.
Forces the mistake on James, who had to have a second dab at the brakes, and Webb wants to buy into it as well.
So 19th position now for Todd Kelly. Amazing how hard you work sometimes for what are not flattering numbers. You know, you look at these guys that are just in a seriously Taz Douglas pick moment on the turn 7 exit there. These guys are in a massive arm wrestle, and they're all battling for 19, 20, 21 and so on. So looking at Steve Johnson's car from James Moffat's car.
James Moffat got some friendly fire yesterday with one of his teammates, put him in the sand, and this was looking pretty close now from Steve Johnson. Pretty lively little battle going on.
Remember, this is for 21st position.
It's life-threatening.
At the front, 4.1 seconds now is the gap between Will Davison and Jamie Whincup here at Barbagallo.
huge competition. Look forward, just look forward. For Frosty, back to brake straight 2 when you can, please. Remember the lanes free, keep your 4 tyres and fuel. Turn your indicator off when you can, please.
Another Supercar Sunday continues here on 7 and 7 Mate. Hope you're enjoying this one, the 8th race of the championship. Another one still to come this afternoon, and approaching the halfway mark with Will Davison on soft tyres, leading the race by 4.5 seconds over Jamie Whincup. Winterbottom is 3rd.
It's not good.
It's not going to help your tyres.
They've lost a lot of time as a result of that. Those tyres will be just starting to hurt, and he tried to protect it by releasing the brake pedal and letting the car run wide, but the net result of that is there's a time penalty. Great shot. Russell hits the mark. Soft tyres off, hard tyres on.
Okay, 7 seconds, waiting. Wait. Clear to go.
That was Rob Starr. Almost contact there in the pit.
He did a good job to hold Russell up then, because he was ready to fire. Patrizzi.
Okay, green tyres.
Rob was the voice that we heard frequently yesteryear, Matty, that used to sing the Breathe Mark song.
Yes. It's pretty good advice too, isn't it? He tends to forget.
We should try it.
There's David Reynolds holding out Shane Van Gisbergen for position 7 at the moment for the Bottle Ford. Good line from Davey Reynolds. He qualified 6th in both of the sessions today. Finished with a pair of 6s, rather have a pair of aces that Jamie Whincup has.
When David comes in at the end of the sequence, remember he'll be held for 10 seconds because of the jump at the start. So they do his stop and then hold him before they release him. We're going to stay with this with Mark Winterbottom coming out of turn 6. So have a listen and have a look at how you negotiate the 2,400 metres of Barbagallo Raceway.
So Lee Holdsworth and Jason Bright. And now Craig Lowndes.
Rear wheels are on, wheel wheels are on. Wait, go.
They're in Remember that Bright has gone the other way to yesterday. He's gone on to softs.
Yeah, that's right, Neil. Talking to Wally Story, he said he felt they got a little bit burnt yesterday with the safety cars. But it's interesting to watch. We talked about that crossover point around lap 2022, and the guys on softs came in and did those changes. Now, Will Davo's, the guys are just putting their stuff out now. They've got another 3 or 4 laps out there. They've just, I'm watching the times against Whincup, and those times have pretty well equalised within a couple of tenths. Now is the right time, get him off, but it says a lot about how well this car is working. He's going faster than a lot of them, and he managed to go 3 extra laps. Tells you a lot about car setup.
And we were watching a very restrained pit lane exit for Craig Lowndes. He actually came out straight today.
Frosty's in, so's Van Gisbergen. Here they are.
Tim Slade's also come in as well.
That was nice on the marks.
And you're going to be clear out, clear.
Little doughy on the way out. And this is Van Gisbergen with a roll centre change.
Wow.
So looks like it was a fair way, doesn't it?
I think he might have gone too far. He went backwards.
They look to be huge.
Yeah.
On the speed race, giving it a big tweak. So Tim Slade's got out in front of him there.
There's been a lot of movement, actually. When this stabilises, we'll give you an update as to what's happening in that pit stop flurry, because there's definitely been some movement.
Whincup is in. Here he is. It's been a good stint from him. You heard Mark Dutton reinforcing that.
No changes, Paul, but we need to get that brake water in, mate. I need your clutch and brake on me in the box for me, please. Nice and steady.
Remember, the engine cut out on him at this time yesterday.
Done that before.
I think it was the idle
All wheels done, waiting on fuel. Nothing in pit lane.
yesterday, and he got away very nicely.
Yes, Scafey, actually what it was yesterday, believe it or not, he had a hydraulic clutch failure. So Jamie turned the car off because he didn't want to sit there without the ability to use the clutch. That's what actually went on there.
Thanks, Larko.
Now, the key in that little remark in the exchange is that these blokes have swapped position here. Now, the interesting thing was that nothing in the lane, I thought, was a really important comment in that little bit of chat that we just heard. That plays to their advantage massively, having the relaxed surroundings. Here's Will.
Perfectly stopped.
You can have a nice clear exit. Nice clear exit.
So 26 laps for Will Davison on the soft tyre.
This will be interesting.
What I meant to say about the margin between Whincup and Winterbottom is it tightened there.
Yes.
That's what I actually meant to say. Spat it out wrong, but look at this now.
So there's Whincup arriving down the front straight as Will Davison leaves. Winterbottom's right on Whincup's hammer now.
This is shaping up as a very healthy battle. We've seen so many races this year where Ford and Holden, Whincup and Winterbottom battling, and they're now line astern at half race distance. Sideways! Will Davison, fantastic. Almost into the grass, but got it into pit lane very, very well.
Craig Lowndes just done the fastest lap of the race, 57 flat. So this is great.
Very good exit here. Winterbottom got a great run out of turn 6. Jamie's going to have to cover this. He moves slightly to the right, just enough to fumble him.
He's down there.
He is down there. Wow, that's... The two of them are absolutely maxed out. And Whincup's hanging on here at the moment, but they'll take it all the way to the first corner. A little bit of contact between them at one.
Reynolds serving his penalty in pit lane, but this battle is enthralling.
Very good driving from both the guys, and they were absolutely at the maximum grip. And that threshold, the cars were sliding. They just made a little bit of light contact. And this is not over, because at the change of direction at the top of the hill, he'll be trying to get down there. He's too far back. He had a little bit of oversteer off the top of turn 5. He makes ground, and where he gets the game, we saw on the previous lap, is out of here.
Remember that Jamie got onto his tyres a lap later. So that meant that Frosty had the benefit of everything being pressured up that little bit earlier. That's why he was trying to make it stick. Jamie knows that if he holds position, he can keep him at bay now that things have settled down. But that was a tremendous exchange and great respect between both competitors. both of them had the opportunity then to give the other a big elbow, but they didn't do it. They raced cleanly. A real nail-biter.
James Courtney's coming to pit lane, so that will cleanse the field.
So remember, we said at the start that Whincup had very impressive speed on the hard tyre versus Winterbottom. Winterbottom had the pace yesterday. Now they're on the soft tyre, and at the start of this next phase of the race, it looks like Winterbottom's got a little bit better speed than Whincup, so it's an interesting battle, isn't it? Really good dice.
And you're going to have to be careful here, because the racer's instinct, as we look at Rick Kelly up in the box, racer's instinct is to just go crazy, go hard, race hard. But you've got to think of the long game here about the way in which these tyres will trend at the back end of the stint. And both Whincup and Winterbottom will have to be very careful, because if they punish them right now, and there's a huge temptation, they'll pay dearly at the end of the sequence.
Just running through the field of those who started on the soft tyres and are now on the hards. And of course, Will Davison leading the race. Greg Murphy in 10th spot on the hard tyres now after starting 25th. Russell Ingall in 12th position on the hard compound tyres after starting 19th. And Carl Reindler in 18th position after starting 28th.
Dave Reynolds got very good speed here over Russell Ingall. As Matt just said, is now on the hard tyre. Dave's on the soft. This is the tyre damaged off one of the Kelly cars. You can see the outside of the crown of the tyre severely damaged. That was the Rick Kelly's left front.
So the guard, that's what the guard was doing with it, just systematically chopping it apart. Tim Slade has had a really good weekend. Remember the battle he had with the man next to him here back at Queensland Raceway. He got his first podium results on the weekend when Craig Lowndes did a clean sweep. And now Slade finds himself behind the three-time series champion yet again inside the top 10.
Here's the replay of that incident when Will Davison came in before and there was contact with he, and we think it was Stephen Johnson. That was very close to Will getting turned around on the pit lane entry. They're looking into that in race control at the moment. Meantime, Garth Tander's done the fastest lap of the race, down in 15th place at 56.9. The margin first to second is down to 3.5 seconds. And looking further down here at Jonathan Webb in position 18 with Carl Reindler. Here's the race leader, 3.4 seconds. So those on soft tyres at the moment are eating his margin slightly, but I don't reckon they'll actually get at him. We'll see.
That time around, Will Davison 57.8 on the hard tyre.
Yeah, this is
Whincup, sorry, a 57.4 on the soft.
Sorry, Matt, this is fascinating, this battle, Tim, because we're not seeing the soft tyre dominate as much as we thought over the hard tyre. So do you think, Will, I mean, he impressed me by doing 25 laps on the softs. He's put himself in a good position, hasn't he, for the end of the race?
Yeah, I mean, he has, but you know, if he can lose 2 or 3 tenths a lap on the hard now, it's going to be a close thing come the end of the race. I mean, these guys are going to try and push out the soft tyre a little bit more than we did. So, you know, it's going to be very close at the end.
We just saw the vision of a little touch-up coming into pit lane there. Have a view on that?
It was a bit scary. Fortunately, I didn't see it at the time, but I saw the aftermath. And, he made it into the pits, so that's the important thing.
All right, thanks, Timmy.
That was scary. It's a miracle nobody's collected the grass there and kept going.
So really studying these times carefully at the moment for this little...
Excellent driving. Make that front bar up and quick if you can.
This little strategic battle that's playing out. It was a 57.8 for Will Davison, a 57.5 for both Whincup and for Winterbottom. So 3 tenths again for those on the soft tyre. How's this battle here? Murphy in 10th, Fiore 11th.
Davey Reynolds having a look. It's like he's peeking over the fence.
Other way round now. Fiore's now 10th. And David's recovering from the hold penalty in pit lane from the jump start.
And remember, David's on soft tyres. Murph isn't in that exchange. He's just waiting. Come on, let me play. Now he buys in properly. So 11th spot for David Reynolds. Green lights on the Bottle Ford.
What do you think?
He's got to hold on to the crossover point.
That's right, but I'd rather be on the hard tyre in the last 5 laps of the race when I had to have the arm wrestle.
That's right. And the lead initially was about 4.5 seconds from Davison to Whincup. It's now 2.7 seconds. And what Neil's saying is that when you get into a real arm wrestle and you've got to defend, because he'll have to defend at some stage, the hard tyre will be looking better at that point than the soft tyre for Whincup or Winterbottom. So it's going to be a very interesting final 15 laps.
There's actually a little bit of water gathered on the old pit lane too, so when you run wide at turn 7 at the moment onto the backside of that curve, 3 wide into 1.
I don't want to be in the green car.
I think being in any of them right at that point would have been a bit of a sweat. Here's a replay of David Reynolds getting up the inside of Dean Fiore coming out of turn 6. And that's
wave.
Thanks, brother. So the margin that Mark made mention of a moment ago was 2.67 seconds. Let's see what it looks like now. 57.8 for Will, 57.6 for Whincup, and it stays at 2.6. Stable gap. Lee Holdsworth isn't far from these guys either. We shouldn't write him off in the Irwin car. He's well and truly threatening this little pack here, this battle pack for second.
This is a fascinating battle all the way to the finish, because Will Davison's on hard tyres and there's a whole stack of guys coming to chase him down on the softer compound.
We'll have 12 more laps to go at the end of this. We'll be ready for you if you need a pit. That's your call. Just try and stay out there in a set with them. Excellent driving, mate. Excellent driving. 1.9.
Welcome back. The charge now to the finish line. Will Davison, our race leader, by 2 seconds over Jamie Whincup, who's coming with full force and soft tyres. But this little inter-team battle is an interesting one. Jason Bright and Fabian Coulthard Bright in 5th.
Bright's complaining that he's got tyre problems on the Team BOC entry. And here's Alex Premer, who's in the pit lane there at the moment.
He got caught up with Garth Tander early in the race and basically put him out. So they're just doing some testing now. You can see there's some damage on the back of the car there. Actually quite a lot of damage on the left-hand rear. What do you think about this, Neil?
Well, I'm thinking and I'm looking, I'm listening to the radio at the same time. Bright's been talking about the tyre behaviour on the car, saying that the tyre's delaminated, but if it was delaminated, he wouldn't be hanging on here in front of Fabian at the moment.
I thought you had a seniors moment.
Actually, I want to try and get in here, boys, and get a quick chat with Brad Jones. Hey, Braddo, obviously no drama with Brighty. I saw the tyres go out on the lane there, and wasn't a drama?
It's always a drama, especially when two cars are close together like we've got them at the moment. But he's saying he's got a bit of a delamination problem, and I hope he can get to the end of the race. But he's definitely, watching the car move around. So it is a problem, but he's managing it. So it's always hard to know with these tyres.
Sorry, mate, I don't know why the brothers up in the box are always giggling when you're on air talking to them. But, mate, I want to ask you on a serious note. Yeah, we'll get to them, don't worry. I know you want to have the improvement in performance with your team has been quite profound. What's changed, mate? Have you got on the Spanish yourself? Have you finally touched your kick? What is it?
Well, we're back at Perth. Last year we were pretty dominant here. We've just been chipping away with the car. We've had some problems, got some issues. We've resolved them, I think, and I think the change in crew chiefs has helped a lot. Then we're getting on top of things, and they're ex-drivers in the commentary booth, Larko, ex-drivers.
Mate, I've got to say seriously, because I know you guys probably work very, very hard. As a team owner, it must give you a real sense of pride, because it's a tough gig, but to see cars up there's nice, isn't it?
It's always great to have your cars running at the front, and BOC and Lockwood are really supportive of us. So to be able to come here and show them what we can do is great, and hopefully we continue on from this. We're just doing each small block at a time, and I think we're getting back towards the pointy end, which is great. Good job, Brado. We'll see you up there.
It's Fabian Coulthard, position 5 now over Jason Bright. And when Bradley was talking, they actually got together down there at one stage. There was a little touch-up, and that stopped his commentary in a hurry, didn't it? Here we go, Russell Ingall down the inside of Tony D'Alberto at turn 1. This is for 16-17. And the gap, by the way, first to second now is down to 1.6 seconds. So they just keep chipping away, those guys on the soft tyres.
I can paint the rest of the picture, guys, on that Alex Premer drama with the left rear of the Fujitsu Commodore. Obviously, he's miles back, he's last, he's doing testing, he's 3 laps down. Doesn't help when they drop the car with the left rear not fully fastened.
Get you every time. Thanks, Noons. Aaron Noonan in pit lane this afternoon. And this is what went on down at turn 7 between Russell and Tony D'Alberto. The high flex entry. So Russell's 17th on the hard tyre.
This might explain where some of that time margin went. This is Will Davison, turn 1, and dealing here with David Wall on the run through the S's. And you don't need much of an interruption to your rhythm to suddenly drop half a second or a second. That's what's happened to Will. That's one of the reasons why Jamie's been able to tighten that gap. Look at this. Rubber build up at turn 3. Soft tyres. Scrape them up, you get another set together there. But you get on that stuff off the racing line, and it's as though you're driving on the ice.
You're so frugal. You're so frugal, aren't you?
You had a little tour out there once, I recall, and headbutted the concrete wall.
So the big question mark is for the next race for this man. How will he react? Remember, he's been excluded from his best qualifying of the year, and for some time at 5th. He will start the next race from the rear of the grid. There's still 8 laps to go in this one, and 152 days to go before we celebrate 50 years at Bathurst. And if Russell needs any reminder, it's right there on his dash. The big Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000 sign. He'll be looking forward to returning to the mountain that he's conquered before. It's going to be a massive year, and you'll see it all here on 7, of course. Why don't we go for a ride with the Enforcer while we're with him? Starts this lap. over the hill, isn't it? And then down to turn 7.
And it's a great ride into 7. Scapey made mention of this yesterday about the brake pressures that you can carry into turn 7. Doesn't really show it much on the box, but incredibly uphill section of racetrack right here. It doesn't look like it, but because the cars are going uphill and it's a very flat, you can really get stuck into the brake pedal there.
So that's the gap between first and second. Will Davison. It's now 1.2 seconds.
And
the difference.
Traffic will be a factor here in this little battle. And if anything, Wincup's just been able to open margin now on Winterbottom, and that resolves the question that we raised earlier in the broadcast about the way those two cars would trend on their soft tyres. It's proving in favour of this one at the moment.
6 to go, mate.
6 laps to go, 1.3 seconds to make up. He's already locked in pole position for the next race. There's a nice little tangle between James Courtney and Shane Van Gisbergen. Sorry. For position 10.
Well, here we go. This is ugly.
Not over yet. Not over yet. Oh.
We're having a giggle about it a moment ago, Scapey, but that you got into a battle like that there a couple of years ago, and two cars just don't fit through that turn 2-3 sequence. And if you do end up on the dusty, marbly stuff out there, you're a goner. So both of them skated away then, but gee, that was close. Here it is again, replay at turn 7. This is how it all started. Oop, Garth turns in, catches the left rear of Shane's car when he was trying to pull back and do the crisscross. Here it is now down at turn 1.
Garth just giving Shane a bit of a pay over the radio to his team. And then this is the bump. So this is where it gets ugly. So you're out of turn 1, and this little kink is where they make contact, and very easy for that car to go straight across the road and into the fence there, going very fast. I mean, that little spot is 190 kilometres an hour.
Here's the traffic that you're talking about. So Carl Reindler steps out of the way for Will Davison. And the gap's now 1.6 seconds, so a slight advantage that time around for our race leader. 5 laps to go. 3rd is Mark Winterbottom. 4th is Lee Holdsworth. There's 5th, Fabian Coulthard. Taz Douglas is behind him, but out of order. Jason Bright is 6th. Craig Lowndes, 7th. Tim Slade on course for another top 10 finish in 8th. Davey Reynolds, 9th. And Garth Tander is 10th.
And I'm surprised and impressed that Wincup's been able to hang on to this pace as long as he has. He was 4 tenths slower than Will on the last lap. It was a couple of tenths, in fact, on the last lap. But probably done a better job than I thought he was going to do. Jason Bright drifted a little, but not as much as the complaints that he was making on the radio sounded like he was basically going to end up in pit lane to rectify a problem, but I think it's just that the tyres have gone away, and that's why he's sliding so much there in turn 6.
It's like a speedway
factor in there. He's got Lowndes sweating on him at the moment. This is for position 6. Tim Slade's also not far from them. There he is, glimpse of blue in the background. Now Lowndes has a look, and it's going to get it done pretty easily down there. Bright doesn't put up any resistance because he's out of grip.
Another position for Craig Lowndes, who started 14th.
He's turned back the other side. He's going to
continue on at turn 1.
Slade just buying into the back of that battle. So interesting dynamic. Will Davison on the hard tyre can drive the car as hard as you possibly can to get this result. So on the last lap, still, actually it's out now to 2.1 seconds. So the soft tyre for Whincup. Whincup, conversely, has got to drive the car as delicately as possible to make those soft tyres live, and it's just got to that crossover point now. It's 2.4 seconds.
And look at Slade here. As if these two guys play around too much too long, Tim will have a go at this in the Lucky 7 car. That was the point that I made earlier, Scapey, that if they end up in a situation where it's a full-blown arm wrestle for the last couple of laps, watch Lowndes, then there's half a chance that the bloke who doesn't wear out his hard tyres will be able to continue to fight. Lowndes is going to do it again. Oh, look at this, Slade down the inside. Bright was thinking about the crisscross, but he wasn't ready then for Slade.
Good move. It's a very good move. That's how Dave Reynolds and Garth Tander got together yesterday, because Garth was trying to do that crisscross and move back to the inside.
It was good awareness of the situation for Tim Slade. So Lowndes is always going to get the job done here at turn 7. Bright's thinking, well, where did he come from?
So it raises the question, doesn't it, for the last race, the next race, that do you start on softs or hards? Because you just wonder if by having the track rub it up using a hard tyre on the second part of your stint might be a wee little advantage to get you there.
It's a tough one to answer, though, isn't it, Mark? Because 2.4 Ks to go, and it's a 2.6 second margin in favour of Will Davison over Jamie Whincup. He's got a bit of traffic to deal with here, but neither of the strategies are, are giving you some massive, it's a fait accompli kind of margin.
Exactly, and that's the great part. It's 2.6 seconds. You can do it either way.
Yeah.
And not affected by safety car. That would have hurt if there was a safety car in that first phase while Davison was on the soft tyre. So a very pure race in that respect.
You said it, Croppo. You'd rather have hard tyres for the last 5 laps.
Good, well done. Good predicting.
Well done.
Well done.
With 5 laps to go, that's where the difference was obvious for Will Davison over Jamie Whincup. Went all that way, those 50 laps, 120 Ks, to get the gain at the very end. And he's using his smarts in 2012. This could be a championship year for Will Davison. His first win here at Barbagallo.
Drive, Matt, wasn't it? Very good drive. He was very contained the whole time.
So Whincup for second, Winterbottom in third, 1-3 for Ford Performance Racing. Fabian Coulthard, great job, well done.
So 2.9 seconds was the gap at the end of it. And Team Vodafone will be pretty happy as well. Another podium finish for Jamie Whincup. Keeps him in front of the championship. And Craig Lowndes 6th after starting 14th.
So good, I'm so happy, man. Impressive that one after yesterday.
Well, exactly what I was going to say. The impressive part about this for me is to dust yourself off, put all the dummy spits and the temper behind you, tune the car up, go out and get the job done. That's what Will and his guys have done with a margin of just under 3 seconds over Jamie Whincup. Ripper of a race, and man of the match, Fabian Coulthard. Well done.
Garth Tander finishes in 10th spot, just ahead of Shane Van Gisbergen and James Courtney, the other Toll HRT car, in 13th. Russell Ingall had to fight 17th. Rick Kelly had his dramas along the way. And Taz Douglas in 26th.